For the first time in almost a decade, we've gone the entire year without a Pokémon game. Some would say this is a good thing, and honestly I would too, but it definitely felt very different. Of course, during the Nintendo Switch era, there were years we didn't get a full retail release and instead 2 DLC expansions, but I would consider these significant enough given that there are additional content that adds a few hours of gameplay, some new Pokémon, and story progression. For all intents and purposes, they're the replacements to the 3rd alternate versions we would get in the past. But now, 2024 was an interesting one. We did start off with the Mochi Mayhem event in early January. That was really fun and it was about 2 hours of content, but given that it immediately followed the Indigo Disc update, I sorta count it as part of that. Truly, the year begins for Pokemon fans with the Pokemon Day presentation on February 27th. There were a few announcements, but the major one featured Pokemon Legends ZA with a 2025 release window. So as I mentioned, a good amount of Pokemon fans were fine with this. Again, the last time something like it happened was in 2015 between Generation 6 and 7, though we did get a spin-off game with Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. It is worth noting that this was before Pokemon had any mobile games. There were still some free-to-play live service-like games, but nothing quite on the level of what we have today. So updates and events continued along just fine in every spin-off game and the main series. We even rounded out the year with a pretty big one in Shining Rayquaza, given how it appeared basically everywhere in the franchise. Definitely a cool capture to get, and I'm glad it was easily obtainable. I caught mine in a luxury ball, by the way. But as you might recall, I said it felt almost like a promotion cycle of a game without actually having a game. I thought it was neat. I mean, it did sort of tie in with the Year of the Dragon, which started off with such a fun little animation and had social media posts here and there, but it did kind of feel like they remember they had a Dragon-type Pokemon they could promote at the very end of the year and just scrambled to get it out. I am also a fan of how it was done to implement something currently developing in the anime, which has also had a really good year and I've enjoyed watching. And along with ongoing events, it helped to carry the franchise in 2024. The one major game put out this year was Pokemon trading card game Pocket, a mobile game focusing on a new version of the TCG. I have talked about it before and I still do play. It was almost on the level of Pokemon Go back in 2016, but not quite. Keep in mind that that was also the 20th anniversary of Pokemon and had a big main series game with Sun and Moon, though TCG Pocket still had a cool release and got a lot of people talking about Pokemon again. Sort of the same way Pokemon Go did, in the sense that people who don't play the video games anymore, or who only play when there's a new game out, were all interested in trying out TCG Pocket. I had a few people I know in real life ask me about it, so that was kinda cool. Speaking of the trading card game, I got to attend a Pokemon regional event for the first time and that was so amazing. I didn't compete in the main tournament, but there were so many fun side events that I got to play in and win some cards while basically making friends with everybody I sat across from at a table. I kinda wish that I had been able to spend more time and money there, because being in a place like this surrounded by other Pokemon fans was the perfect experience. It was like a cross between a convention and a locals event, and everyone I interacted with was so friendly and it made me so appreciative to be in this community. Personally, as a Pokemon YouTuber, it was sort of business as usual. I had a lot of fun with various projects that I made this year and I loved watching everything that my friends were doing. Most notably, my weekly live streams continued and I used them to play through a few of the spin-off games and some of the older main series. With all of the starter Pokemon having made their way back in the Indigo Disc DLC, I now finally had all 3 Croc Pokemon in one game, so I set out to do a playthrough using them. Then I went back in time with Pokemon Emerald. I hadn't played this one in years and it was so surprising to relive the Hoenn region story with a lot of the additions that I honestly forgot about. Next came Pokemon Ranger and it was my first time ever playing through any of the Ranger series. My first impressions were pretty good and the gripes I had were mostly mechanics that I hear were updated in future entries. The story was a lot of fun, I love the visuals, and having something that ties in so closely to the main series makes me wish that we got even more like it. I'm excited to try out the sequels in the following year. Intermittently, I have been making my way through Detective Pikachu Returns, the worst Pokemon game ever apparently. I don't really get it, and I don't get why it wasn't talked about all that much when it's honestly a fine game. Actually pretty charming, I love the world built here, and I would say that I hope we get even more like it in the future, and maybe that's a hot take, though I do need to get around to actually finishing it. After that was another big one with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. I had only played a little more than half of Explorers of Darkness a long time ago, but I was happy to get a start to finish run alongside everyone watching. The Mystery Dungeon games are honestly really nice, especially for streaming because there's a cool dramatic story to read, and also some downtime in just making your way through the dungeons. I'm really glad I played it. And to round out the year, I'm actually currently replaying Pokemon Leaf Green. That's been a wonderful time with the aesthetic and is just the best way to play through Kanto. So I don't want to say that it's been a nothing year, even though sometimes it can feel like that. I'm just very appreciative that Pokemon has gotten to the point where they can just not release a main series game for a year and it still feels like there's so much going on, with currently running online events and other news announcements, and there being a bunch of games in my personal backlog, and that's probably the case for so many other people. I feel that starting things off by flat out saying the next big project will be at least a year away was the right choice to ease everybody into a more relaxed state. It just goes to show that Pokemon is really what you make it. I almost worry that 2024 wouldn't be as exciting for me as a Pokemon fan, but through not needing to worry about the upcoming main series game, all the opportunities that were offered, and my own personal initiative, this was the most diverse experience as a Pokemon fan I've had in a really long time. And this funny little YouTube channel is what made it all possible. Sure, it does allow me to create some fun videos and live streams every week, though also just by the principle that it allows me to carve my own piece of the Pokemon community, it honestly makes me love the franchise even more, to the point that I'm inspired to attend events, play through older games, collect a bunch of knickknacks for the sole reason that they make me happy. So for all of that, I just want to say thank you. But as this video is winding down, I figured let's go ahead and cut to this and make it a little more personal, because, you know, it's the thing to do this time of year, and as I don't have a script, you can probably tell it might be a little harder. But thank you again. It's all of you who makes this possible, because this channel is so fun. I see it as my project that will never end, in the sense that, like, there's just always going to be Pokemon stuff to do, to talk about, to play, even, you know, going back, right? It's so fun. Thank you so much to all my YouTube friends, also everyone who is just kind of like been here for me, also is making some great content, has just you know, been here and had me on for stuff. Thank you everyone at the Champions League, Zach Toshi, Infamous Trainer, PokeRap, JPR, Hybrid Hero, you guys are great. But thank you everyone at Hidden Power Podcast as well. All you guys are great. Dusty Gogo, Soul Silver, Lumios Post. You know, thanks for having me for that holiday party we did last week. You can check that out. That was really fun. Shoutouts to Not So Ace Trainer for just continuing making some great content. I love his stuff as well. Again, you know, if you like theory stuff, can check him out. That's great. Also, Lumios Post is also more theory. So those two are like kind of continuing all the theory stuff mostly. So they're great. Thank you so much, A-Drive and Alestrals, for reaching out to me, sending me a bunch of cool stuff, having me on for, you know, that one big pack opening stream. That was really fun. And I forgot that was a thing that happened this year. That's been neat, you know, loving and following the project. And I think it's just really cool to see PokeTubers like that, you know, working on other things, coming together. It's all great. Thank you everyone for just all that you've done this year, all the super chats, all the memberships. That's great. Oh, I can't believe the podcast. Forgot we brought back the podcast, and I've been doing that for a year. That's for members only, because it's that extra little thanks. I'm so privileged to be able to record that with my best friend every month and just put that out. By the way, if you're not a channel member, I'm actually going to take the first 3 episodes and I'm going to just make them unlisted so you can watch them and get a little taste of it. And we'll probably be doing that with some more older episodes kind of progressively, but obviously it's intended as a thing for channel members first and foremost, as, you know, early access. So if you want to watch that, catch up with it, keep up to date, that's available for all channel members. Again, you know, just thank you everyone for all your super chats. I should have probably made a list of like everyone who super chatted. Maybe I can do that in post, but obviously thank you Tajirai for just big support, for just being there for every stream. And thank you everyone else for watching every stream on Fridays. I know there were a good amount of this video was actually talking about that, so just thank you for allowing me to be able to do that. And I feel like I've said thank you too much, but I just want to say Happy New Year. Hope you enjoy yourselves, and I'm so looking forward to everything else we do in the brand new year. And thanks. It's cool. It's cool. Anyway, this is GatorX. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the great Gators, Alex with Shiny Hunts, Tyler Hopper, Lockadox, KoiKoi13, Cemetery Hill, Cosmo Zero, Rainfrux, Cheez-It62, GatorKid509, TF, Mathaclog947, Tajirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, and our monthly members only podcast, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
A little bit of ass is what I choose.
A little bit of Pikachu is what I use. Sorry, Mr. Vega.
Stay tuned for more of Lou Vega on the Kids WB Snow Jam.